सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल दबाएं ताकि कोई खबर रह न जाए।
बोल एम्बेसडर के साथ।
Assalamu alaikum viewers and welcome to another show of BOL Ambassador के साथ। As you know, हमारा जो शो है उसके अंदर हमेशा हमारे पास किसी न किसी दोस्त मुल्क पाकिस्तान के बायलैटरल रिलेशंस के साथ ताल्लुक़ रखने वाले ममालिक के एम्बेसडर्स सफ़ीर हज़रात यहाँ तशरीफ़ लाते हैं और वो अपने दिल की बात करते हैं। दे स्पीक देयर हार्ट आउट अबाउट व्हाट दे आर डूइंग हियर, व्हाई आर दे हियर इन पाकिस्तान, व्हाट दे आर डूइंग गुड फॉर पाकिस्तानीज़ इन देयर कंट्री एंड ऑल्सो व्हाट्स हैपनिंग ओवर हियर, डिफरेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स जो कि हम आपको बताते हैं। एंड टुडे again we have a dignitary, rather we have two dignitaries with us. We have the ambassador of Denmark, His Excellency Jacob Linolf with us. Welcome to the show, sir. And we also have Mr. Ulrich Everspush. He is the Danish Energy Agency's Global Director, who is with us at the moment. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And we are pleased to have both of you because we have heard so much about green energy and there was a huge hype about the green framework engagement agreement that was signed in Denmark. It was all over in the news and we would of course discuss all this with you. But before I do that, viewers, let me tell you how Pakistanis see Denmark at the moment. We remember Denmark because of its rich cultural history, of course, we know a lot of things. And who can forget the wonderful cookies that we get always from Denmark, and everybody is having them. The butter cookies are famous all over the world. And Pakistanis enjoy it the most because we are fond of cookies as well. And apart from that, of course, the wonderful windmills and the lush green fields, tradition, foods, culture, everything is there. And of course, the contribution Denmark is making by sharing its knowledge and sharing its technology and sharing projects to make the world a better place in terms of green emissions and to save the ozone and save the overall environment and the global warming as well. So, Excellency, coming back to you, how is your stay in Pakistan? You have just arrived about a month back.
That's right. I've been here for 1.5 months. I enjoy it here. Before coming to Pakistan, a lot of people in Denmark would come up to me telling me their stories about Pakistan. Mm-hmm. They would tell me people are very friendly. Hospitality is legendary in Pakistan. The food is wonderful and the nature is beautiful. And they're absolutely right. I've been here for 1.5 months now and I agree to all those points. It's a very nice country to live and stay in. So did anybody scare you when you were coming to Pakistan? Because this is usually what we hear in our show, that people told me this and that, but when I came here, I found it totally opposite and I'm feeling it very welcoming, very hospitable. So what is your true experience at the moment since the last 1 month? Everyone I met in Denmark who had the opportunity to visit Pakistan or to live here or come here as a tourist, they all spoke very, very highly about Pakistan.
We are humble.
And I think that's the story of Pakistan. Some people might have a little bit of a negative image, but when they have been here and when they have met the Pakistani people, it all changes dramatically. Then they all fall in love with Pakistan, and it's the same with me.
Wonderful, and we are really humbled to hear that, and we are very pleased to hear that your impression about Pakistan is as we are. We are very welcoming and a very hospitable nation, and you will love your stay in Pakistan. I can guarantee you that for the next 2 or 3 years when you're here, hopefully. Now, how big is the Pakistani community in Denmark? What is the size of our diaspora?
The Pakistani diaspora in Denmark is pretty big. Mm-hmm. Denmark, of course, is a small country, but we roughly say that there are 30,000, maybe 35,000 people living in Denmark with Pakistani background, which is a fairly large community considering Denmark's small size. They contribute a lot. We see Pakistani people in culture, we see them in politics, we see a lot of Pakistani who have been taking very long degrees as lawyers or doctors.
Wow.
So yeah,
So they have adjusted well in the society, they are contributing towards Denmark's growth and well-being, and they are contributing in all fields?
But they also keep their Pakistani background and the Pakistani culture.
They're keeping it alive over there.
They definitely do.
Even the third or fourth generation that's there.
They definitely do. Pakistani moved to Denmark in the late 60s and early 70s, so now we are at the second or even third generation of Pakistani people in Denmark. They adjust well, but they also keep their own traditions, and your beautiful culture is part of their heritage as well while living in Denmark.
That's great, and thank you, Pakistanis. You have made us proud. Even the third generation, as Excellency is saying. So I'm really glad to hear that. Now, Excellency, we know that Pakistan and Denmark, as two nations, they have very cordial relations. As two countries, two nations, and including bilateral trade. Of course, we have bilateral trade, and it's been happening for a long time. Which areas do we have more opportunities, so that the people who are, our viewers who are listening, they should know what are the areas of interest and investments?
You're right. Denmark and Pakistan, we have worked together on a friendly basis for a very, very long time. For the last years, we have seen our trade increasing. It goes both for export from Denmark to Pakistan, and also goes from the other way. So Pakistan is selling more to Denmark year on year. There's a lot of potential. And I hope during my stay here, we'll be able to give our bilateral trade a boost. We have a number of Danish companies in Pakistan. We have we normally say around 50 Danish companies present here. Denmark is a trading nation. We believe in globalization. And we have a lot of companies within shipping. You know, we have the world's biggest shipping company, Maersk, being very present and big in Pakistan. We also have another logistical company called DSV, being very big in Pakistan as well. Denmark is also strong in healthcare. So we have major companies in Pakistan helping with mental health, helping with diabetes and obesity, some of these lifestyle diseases that we also see now in Pakistan.
And I believe one of our cricket celebrities has also been a brand ambassador for this project in Pakistan.
That's true.
Mr. Wasim Akram.
Yeah, that's true.
He has been, because he has been speaking so high about this initiative and the way he has educated people along with the Danish embassy and the project in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So that's great work happening. So what opportunities do you see in Pakistan for the trade expansion and for this bilateral trade to increase in volume?
Basically, we can look at all sectors. Let me just highlight a few. We see a tech boom in Pakistan. We see a lot of young engineers, software designers coming out of your very good universities every day, every year. So we see a number of Danish companies doing software development, doing app developments in Pakistan, and we will see that developing more in the coming years. And then of course we need to talk about the energy sector. We need to talk about the environment sector. There's no doubt that the expertise that Denmark has in those fields are one of the top in the world. We are very good at water treatment. It goes for wastewater treatment. It goes for providing clean drinking water. Denmark is very good at waste handling. And Denmark is very good at renewable energy and energy efficiency. So those are key fields for us to cooperate with Pakistan on trade, business, but also in terms of changing the world and changing this tragic that we are seeing now with climate change is also hitting Pakistan so badly.
Yes, we are badly affected with it. So this means that there is high interest in the Pakistan's energy sector, one of the most attractive sector, because Denmark has a wonderful history for that as well, and we'll come over to that in the later part of the interview. Excellency, Pakistan rolled out an ambitious policy of alternative renewable energy, which we call ARE, and the ambition is to generate at least 60% of Pakistan's energy through these renewable resources and make the atmosphere a cleaner place to breathe for everyone, and save our Earth and save the global warming and all things. It's a chain reaction that happens, of course. We all know that, the green emissions. So this initiative of Pakistan, this ambition of Pakistan, does it also click a spark in Denmark as well?
Definitely. To me, it's a very good initiative, and to me, it's also a very ambitious initiative. It's also a difficult one.
Of course.
It requires a lot of investment. It requires a lot of commitment from the government. But we see this commitment, and in our cooperation between Denmark and Pakistan, both parties know that we need to work together to solve our climate challenges and get more renewable energy into our energy sector. We cannot solve that ourselves. Denmark cannot solve it in isolation. Pakistan cannot solve it in isolation. We need to work together on these things.
Excellency, I'll just take leave from you now, and I'll involve Mr. Alrik Everswish. He's been waiting. Now my first question is that the Danish energy transition that has happened, and of course you being member of the Danish energy agency, which is actually looking into all these projects globally and making a world a better place, and the atmosphere for the children to come in near future, so that they can have a cleaner air, they can have more resources. How does it all start?
Definitely, and thank you for having me on the show as well. It all started back in the 1970s when we had the first oil crisis in Europe. Back at that time, Denmark was actually close to 100% dependent on foreign oil. And the prices, just as we see today, went skyrocketing. And it was a huge blow for the Danish society as well for many countries around the world. And back then we decided that we would not end up in the same situation again. So the Danish Energy Agency was created on that background, and we started what we call the green transition in Denmark. And it has taken us 50 years, but where we are today is, I would say, a much better place when talking about energy. And the purpose for my visit in Pakistan is to share that information through our government-to-government program and say, what have we in Denmark experienced the last 50 years? How can we take that knowledge and make that applicable to countries like Pakistan?
Okay, that's great. So this means the legacy of those 50 years, where you started with just an idea, a noble idea actually, for making the environment cleaner and saving and preserving the resources, and it turned into a reality, and now Denmark is actually on clean energy, and it's been doing that. So how much time do you think, when you're transferring these thoughts and these ideas, will it take for countries to adopt it?
It's very difficult to say. It's a long process, but our ambition is, of course, that what took us 50 years doesn't necessarily have to take other countries 50 years, because if we share our knowledge and our experience, hopefully they can leapfrog on that and reach a faster transition. And with the current situation, it's obvious that we have to do something, and we have to do it faster than we have been used to, just seeing at the consequences right now. And I think that is why initiatives like these are extremely important, and we are very eager to help.
Okay, that's great to hear, because this is what Pakistan is looking up to. I'll go back to His Excellency again. Excellency, recently you have seen Pakistan going through a major catastrophe of the floods that happened. It's been a disaster all along. It's the moment it started until now, and it's unfolding in stages. First it was heavy rainfall, and then there were floods because of that, and then post floods there's a lot of things happening, because rehabilitation is a huge process for all those millions of people who are displaced. Now, how do you see that this green framework agreement that Pakistan signed, and would it also contribute in saving such catastrophes in the future? Like global warming having this effect because of all the oil that's burned for energy, and it goes in the atmosphere and creates this havoc.
I went to the flooded areas myself. It was one of the very first things I did when I came to Pakistan. Devastating and tragic. And I can only send my warm regards and sincere condolences to everyone suffering from these floodings. It is very close to my heart to help them. And from the Danish side, we have been able to work through the FN, the UN, the EU, international organizations to support the victims. We have also been providing from Denmark a big water purification facility, providing 100,000 liters of clean water every single day to the victims.
That's a great initiative.
Now we are looking into the next phase. That was the emergency relief phase. It will last for some time, but we need to look at the longer path. And that's why we're here. We are here to try to establish a long-term partnership with Pakistan on the green agenda. We need to act and we need to change our behavior. Otherwise, we will see this coming again next year. So this is about building together a more climate resilient world and a more climate resilient Pakistan. It's going to take a while, but we need to start, and that's why we are here.
It has to begin at some point. There has to be a starting point for everything.
Yeah.
So it has to be initiated someday, and I think this is the day it should be done, because it's already too late. Because we have seen that havoc that was created.
Yeah.
So with this answer, Excellency, we have to take a break, and we'll be back from the break. Viewers, don't go anywhere. We are going to have lots of conversation about the green energy initiative and saving the atmosphere, and also some more facts about Denmark and a few things that we would like to ask His Excellency regarding his stay in Pakistan. So take a break and we'll be right back.
BOL एम्बेसडर के साथ BOL एम्बेसडर के साथ
Welcome back, viewers, to BOL Ambassador ke Saath, and we have His Excellency the Danish Ambassador with us, and also we have the representative of the Danish Energy Agency, the Global Director, with us as well. Welcome back again to the show, and Excellency, we were speaking about, and you were telling us how this will contribute and what you have seen, the massive floods and the havoc it has created for humanity, actually, not just Pakistanis. They are human beings and they are suffering. So now moving on, Denmark being a leader and a green front runner at the moment in global climate action, as well as innovation of different renewable energy techniques and technologies that has been used successfully, and you have actually implemented it within Denmark first, and then now you are transferring the knowledge and technology wherever it's required. So how did the country achieve that? Was it through a national drive? Everybody was educated to go towards this direction, or it was just an idea and a specific, like the Danish Energy Agency, it was working towards it, or the ministry was working towards it, or everybody participated as a Danish citizen?
Yes, they did, but also driven by our politicians who set out the guidelines for the sector. You know, the core of the Danish story is that when we started our green transition, we had a baseline on terms of the energy consumption. And today, 50 years later, basically use the same amount of energy, even though our economy is much bigger. Wow. So that's a success story. And there are two ways of reaching a green transition in terms of the energy sector. You have to use less energy, and you have to have green fuels instead of fossil fuels.
Okay.
So we have, in terms of using less energy, That's energy efficiency. So all our houses, all our buildings have been insulated, have been having very tough standards in terms of energy consumption for each building, securing that they use as less energy as possible.
Okay.
That goes for the industry as well. And then there's the other thing about using other fuels than fossil fuels. You need to use less oil, less coal, and instead of that, using solar, using biomass, and not least, as we do in Denmark, wind energy. So Denmark has been a leading nation when it comes to wind energy for many, many years.
Yes.
And we are very good at wind turbines and monitoring and managing wind energy farms.
Great, wonderful. So moving back to Mr. Ulrich. Now, Denmark in any way helping Pakistan in terms of the collaboration that you discussed, that you're here to actually transfer the knowledge and share experiences. So what kind of collaboration are we looking into? What is the Pakistani government and the Danish Energy Agency is discussing?
So right now we have a program, we have a partnership program that focuses on mainly 3 areas. One area is the long-term planning, which is extremely important. When it's about energy, you need to have a long-term horizon. Big investments are needed when it comes to energy, and I think it is extremely important that the private sector is also getting involved, and the private sector is only getting involved if they have security and predictability. So do they want to invest or not? Can they see the business case in the future? So if the government has long-term planning, that will also help to attract the private sector.
So private sector from both sides?
From both sides, definitely. There also needs to be, of course, a local anchoring, and to create a healthy, I would say, business environment within the energy sector, I think collaboration, also internationally, is very important. No country can do it by themselves.
Of course, except Denmark, because you did it by yourself as a nation, and you achieved, and then you are actually sharing with the world. It's a very, very, very noble thing that's happening, that Denmark is looking positive towards the whole world as a community now. Now, regarding Denmark itself achieving its targets, what targets have you set for your country as being member of the agency, and how much have you achieved it so far?
So looking at the main targets, in terms of CO2 reduction, our target is to reduce by 70% by 2030 and reaching carbon neutrality in 2050. And then we have an ambition of having 100% of our electricity coming from renewable energy sources by 2030. But we are actually going to achieve that already by 2028, so in 6 years' time. All of our electricity will be based on renewable energy.
Oh.
And let me just share another figure that we are very proud of. Our security of supply when it comes to electricity is at the moment 99.996%. That means in practical terms that an average consumer in Denmark will experience an outage of 20 minutes per year. But in practice, most consumers will never experience an outage during the year.
Okay.
And that experience and that knowledge is also a part of what we are focusing on in our collaboration here in Pakistan.
That would be a great addition to the knowledge, as well as if it can be practically implemented in Pakistan as well, because we are highly, affected by energy outages in Pakistan, and the industry is suffering, the common people are suffering, businesses are suffering, everything. That would be a great contribution.
It is actually very much about technical issues. Say
how to minimize the losses and all
exactly,
that.
And balancing the grid when you have many different energy sources with different frequencies. And one of the key stories in Denmark is almost all other countries they have what we call the base load of energy, meaning the primary source is based on fossil fuels.
Yes.
And then you put the renewables on top. In Denmark, we turned that picture around and said our base load is wind, it's biomass, it's solar, it's hydro. And then when we don't have enough electricity, when the wind is not blowing enough and the sun is not shining, then we take in the electricity based on the fossil fuels.
Fuel. Okay,
so that system is also the vision that we bring to the table in our international collaborations.
Okay, that's great. We have to take a short break over here, and viewers, we will be right back. And we have 3 to 4 more questions that we have to ask with these two dignitaries in our studios today, because else it will be very hard to find answers to all those. So stay with us and looking forward. Thank you.
BOL एम्बेसडर के साथ BOL एम्बेसडर के साथ
Welcome back, viewers, to BOL Ambassador ke saath. Now, in the last segment of the show, we have a few questions for His Excellency and Mr. Ulrich as well. So, we'll start with you so that you are done with this question, because it's very important and people should know about it, especially the people who are from the technological background and also our business community who is listening to this. So, apart from energy, climate change is also a very serious concern for Pakistan now, especially after this flood. So, is there anything happening through your agency on that as well? This green emission framework that has been signed, will it also contribute to saving this global climate change affecting Pakistan's?
I mean, I think the framework is very broad, and our focus is very much on the energy part. But I think the largest contributor to the climate change is exactly the energy area, and there are so many possibilities to collaborate within energy, electrification of transportation and the flight industry and vessels and the electricity consumption as such. So I think climate change is the overall effect of the lack of initiatives, but we have to focus somewhere, and I'm happy that we have this green framework agreement, and I think that we should focus on the area where Denmark has the most specific competence, and that being, I would say, definitely energy as one of the important areas. There are many other areas, but I think energy is a very good place to start.
Of course, it's a big crisis in Pakistan, of course. Excellency, moving towards you again. Now, this transfer of expertise, this transfer of knowledge, which the Danish Energy Agency have sent a dignitary to discuss it with our government and all the relevant agencies in Pakistan. How positive are you about it?
I'm very positive. It is very close to my heart, and you know, if I look at my priorities for my stay in Pakistan, this is a top priority.
And will Pakistan benefit for good? And it will be a big change in Pakistan. For Pakistanis who are listening to you, they want to, okay, Denmark is doing this, but they want to know what will be in for the local person that's living in Pakistan. So how will he be affected with it?
Well, this agreement that we are talking about, and we hear the Danish Energy talking about, is not going to change Pakistan in isolation. Pakistan need to work with all international partners they can. International organizations, sponsors, donors, financial institutions, all these things will be put on the agenda at the COP27 will take place in Egypt very soon. And actually Pakistan is leading the delegation from the developed world there. So there's a unique chance for Pakistan as well to put this on the agenda
to showcase this, yes. That's great. And so at least when the energy transfer is done, and at least we start a few things and implement them, at least there will be no outrages of electricity in the common household, as well as the businesses and industries maybe in the next few years to come.
That is our hope. Another hope is that by this collaboration between Denmark and Pakistan, it will be easier for Pakistan to have more renewable energy. It's very difficult to have wind and solar and hydropower and get it into the national grid.
The national grid, yes.
And we are very good at that.
Will.
So we will
combine all this.
We will try to support you with that. And if you get the right models, you can add more solar, more wind, and so forth.
Wonderful. That would be a great addition, because this is one of the major issues that we face. It was how to make it part of the national grid. If I am generating excess energy from my solar panels at my home, the household consumer would love to know how he can contribute to the entire nation's well-being in this manner. So if I am having some additional kilowatts, maybe I can push it back into the national grid, and that serves somebody else's house.
Yeah.
So it will create a national mission sort of for the Pakistani nation, because we are very, very serious about this issue. Everybody is facing a lot of problem and crisis. Excellency, before we end our show, you have been in Pakistan for just a month, or just over a month now. How is your experience about food in Pakistan? Because of course you must be eating locally, and you must have gone to all the cities that you have traveled. You told me you went to Karachi and maybe Lahore as well. So how did you find the food, and how do you find the change in taste of food in Pakistan?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have to say I love the Pakistani food.
Wow.
And whenever I travel, I try to taste the local food. I've done that. I have been traveling. You mentioned Lahore, Karachi, and other places, and I have to say you have a fantastic kitchen in Pakistan throughout, and you combine it with the most fantastic nature and the most fantastic culture and history. I have been to some of the most fantastic cultural and historical monuments that I've ever seen in my life, and I know there's so much more waiting for me throughout my stay here, both when it comes to nature, when it comes to culture, and when it comes to food.
Of course, you have to experience our northern areas, especially in winters. I think you will feel like you have just crossed borders and entered into Switzerland. This is what people say. Twin locations, actually, twin cities like Switzerland and our northern areas, they seem like they're sister locations. People just have that kind of nostalgia. Especially people who have been to Switzerland, they always say, oh, it feels the same. It's the same mountain, it's the same white beauty that's covering the entire environment over there, especially in winters, in December and January. So that was wonderfully well received, I think, by our audience as well. Excellency, before we end our show, what message would you like to give on behalf of the Danish embassy and the Danish government to the Pakistani listeners and viewers at the moment, in reference to the ambitions, in reference to anything positive that you would like to say?
Then I would say two things. At the embassy, we are very focused on the people. So Danish people who want to visit and explore Pakistan, Pakistani people who want to visit Denmark and explore Denmark, do business with Denmark, that is our core job, to help and support them. And secondly, I'm very proud that I start my job here with a firm commitment from the Danish government and from the Pakistani government to work to combat climate change. So those two issues, you can help me responsible for that when we talk again in 2 years' time. I will do my best to make a difference.
Don't worry, we'll keep tracking. we will not, because this is like a dream for Pakistanis. When they'll hear this, they will see us. Of course, they're seeing us right now also, but again and again on YouTube and everywhere. You cannot imagine, this is a dream come true for Pakistanis, especially the common household person would love to hear that, okay, finally this is going to happen and I will not face any outrages. I'll have a cleaner environment. I'll have a cleaner air to breathe. So that would be a great initiative and a great contribution. I would like to thank you on behalf of all the viewers and all the BOL family that we would anything that we can do, please do let us know. We are always there for anything for Pakistan and anything for the friends of Pakistan. Thank you very much, Excellency, for being on our show. It was lovely having you here. Thank you very much, Mr. Ulrich, for being here on behalf of the DEA. But DEA is a very difficult name in the US as well. So thank you very much. And we hope that you achieve all your goals, and Pakistani authorities, of course, they're very welcoming. Energy Minister as well as all the energy agencies that are here, they are very serious in that. And hopefully we'll achieve this dream of ours. Thank you very much. Thank you. Viewers, we'll meet again next week with another show and another Excellency, some more good news, and of course, some more talk about food and culture and many other things. Stay right with us and see you next week. Thank you.
BOL एम्बेसडर के साथ
डिजिटल लोन स्कैम, आवाम को कर्जों के जाल में फंसाकर लूटने वाले भेड़िए बेनकाब।
बोल की काविशें बाराबर साबित हो गईं। ऑनलाइन कर्ज माफिया के गिर्द घेरा तंग हो गया है।
बोल ने दिया अपने आवाम का साथ, उठाई इस स्कैम के खिलाफ आवाज। बोल की डिजिटल लोन स्कैम के खिलाफ आगाही मुहिम की सबसे बड़ी ट्रांसमिशन 59% आवाम ने देखी अपनी स्क्रीन पर, क्योंकि बोल है पाकिस्तान का नंबर 1 न्यूज चैनल।
सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल दबाएं ताकि कोई खबर रह न जाए।